The Duchess of Kent, Katharine, has died, leaving the royal family and the nation mourning a woman remembered for her humility, kindness, and devotion to service. Her passing has drawn heartfelt tributes from across the United Kingdom and beyond, but among all the voices, the most emotional has been that of King Charles III. His farewell to the Duchess has been described as one of the most personal and deeply felt tributes of his reign. Katharine's death marks the loss of a royal figure who quietly shaped the lives of many without ever seeking recognition. She rarely drew attention to herself, yet her work in education, music, and social welfare touched generations. Those who met her described how she remembered names, listened closely, and made even brief encounters feel significant. The news of her death has therefore resonated not only as the loss of a duchess, but as the loss of someone who gave herself to others in ways that mattered deeply. For King Charles III, her passing is not only a public moment, but also a private heartbreak. He spoke openly about the depth of his grief, acknowledging that she had been more than a relative. She had been a steady source of comfort, reassurance, and loyalty over the years. "Goodbye, Katharine," he said, his words carrying not only the weight of monarchy, but the emotion of a man who has lost someone irreplaceable. In his tribute, the king emphasized the humanity that defined the Duchess. He called her a woman of quiet dignity and deep compassion, noting that she lived her life not for recognition but for others. He highlighted her commitment to young people, particularly through her involvement in schools and music programs, where she believed in nurturing talent and giving children confidence. For Charles, her contributions in these areas represented the best of what royalty could achieve when combined with humility and purpose. The king's farewell was notable for its deeply personal tone. He recalled moments of family life that the public never saw: Katharine's warmth at gatherings, her advice in times of difficulty, and her ability to calm tensions with kindness. "She gave without ever asking in return," he said. "Her example will remain with me always." The Duchess's funeral is set for the 16th of September, and preparations are already underway. It is expected to be a ceremony of tradition and solemnity, attended by family, dignitaries, and representatives of the causes she supported. For King Charles, the service will be a moment not only to fulfill duty as monarch, but to give a final farewell to a relative he admired and loved deeply. His tribute has already shaped the national response to her death. Many who listened to his words felt that they revealed the human side of the monarchy, stripping away formality and exposing raw grief. In sharing his sorrow so openly, the king allowed the country to see him not only as a sovereign, but as a man mourning a family member. Katharine's life as Duchess of Kent was marked by restraint. She did not seek prominence, but she left a profound impact through consistency and sincerity. The king acknowledged that her greatest strength lay in her humility, and in his farewell he praised her decision to live a life that valued people over position. "She lived her life quietly but powerfully," he said. "Her influence cannot be measured in titles, but in the lives she touched." One of the most emotional aspects of his farewell was his recognition of her role within her own family. As a mother and grandmother, Katharine gave her children and grandchildren guidance, patience, and love. The king referred specifically to her son's grief, noting that his heartbreak reflected the deep personal bond they shared. To him, she was not a duchess. She was his anchor, his home, Charles said, his words underlining the personal loss behind the public mourning. The royal family is preparing for the difficult days ahead as they face the final farewell. While the nation will watch a ceremonial funeral, the family will be grieving a woman whose presence gave them strength in private moments. The king acknowledged this reality in his farewell, reminding the public that behind the duties of monarchy lie bonds of love that are as vulnerable as any other families. His farewell also contained a note of gratitude. He thanked Katharine for the unwavering support she had given over decades, for her ability to bring reassurance in times of crisis, and for her belief in kindness as the foundation of service. "We have lost someone whose presence cannot be replaced," he said, "but her memory will remain as a guiding light." The words have resonated strongly across the country. Newspapers, broadcasters, and citizens have shared them, remarking on the rare openness of emotion from a king. Many have described his tribute as one of the most moving public statements of his reign, not because of its formality, but because of its sincerity. It has given the nation not only a way to mourn Katharine, but also a way to understand the depth of her influence within the family. As the day of the funeral approaches, the royal household is preparing for what will be both a national and personal moment. For the king, it will be an opportunity to honor her in front of the country while also saying goodbye in the most personal sense. His farewell has already made it clear that when he stands at the funeral, his words will be shaped not only by duty, but by love. Katharine's death has also highlighted the passing of a generation of royals who embodied a quiet form of service. Her life was not defined by spectacle, but by substance, and in that, she represented a model of what monarchy could mean at its best. The king's farewell underscored this, presenting her as a figure whose humility and compassion should continue to inspire long after her death. The tributes pouring in from charities, schools, and individuals reflect the truth of his words. Stories have emerged of her encouragement to young musicians, her comfort to families in need, and her simple gestures of kindness that left lasting impressions. These tributes are not grand, but they are powerful because they represent the essence of who she was. King Charles's farewell has tied these tributes together, presenting them as part of a larger story of a woman who gave herself to others. His emotional words have ensured that her final journey will not only be marked by formality, but by recognition of her humanity. "Goodbye, Katharine," he said, and in those words, the nation heard both the sorrow of a king and the heartbreak of a man. It was not just the end of a duchess's life, but the closing of a chapter in family history, a reminder that loss within the royal household carries with it both public and private dimensions. On the 16th, the final farewell will take place. Hymns will be sung, tributes will be given, and the nation will mark the passing of the Duchess of Kent. But the king's farewell has already given shape to the moment. It has framed her legacy as one of humility, kindness, and love, ensuring that her memory will not fade. For the king, the loss is deeply personal. For the family, it is painful beyond measure. And for the nation, it is the departure of a figure who quietly represented the best of what royalty can be. The words of King Charles III have ensured that this truth will endure. Her journey has come to an end, but the example she set continues. Through her son, her grandchildren, the causes she championed, and the memory preserved in the king's words, her influence remains. His farewell, emotional and heartfelt, is a lasting tribute to a duchess who lived with grace and died with dignity. "Goodbye, Katharine," the king repeated, and with those words, a nation mourned with him. Goodbye, Katharine is not just the end of a chapter. It is the beginning of a lasting memory. King Charles III's emotional words have echoed through the nation, but they also raise questions for us all. How do we carry forward the values she lived by? How do we honor someone whose life was defined not by titles, but by kindness? And how do we ensure that her quiet strength continues to inspire future generations? As the nation prepares for her final farewell, the answers may lie in the same truth Katharine lived by: love, humility, and service.